Hey, what's up guys? My name is David Zhao, and today we are going to be unboxing a brand new camera, the A7 Mark III, and I'm going to give you guys my first impressions. So right off the bat, we noticed that the A7 III now looks a lot more like the A9 than it did the A7 II series. Out of the box, and first let me tell you, unboxing a camera is one of my favorite things, but out of the box, it comes with the camera, it comes with a battery, it comes with a charging cord, and it comes with a neck strap, and that's about it, which is a little bit disappointing because Sony hasn't really ever provided a battery charger. I always have to go on Amazon and go buy like a Wasabi, off-brand battery charger, because who actually charges their cameras by plugging them into a brick to the camera? I don't know who does that, but I don't like that, so I had to go ahead and order a battery charger online. Now, if you didn't know already, this battery is bigger than its predecessors, and it's the same size as the one that's now found in the A9. But before we get to that, let's talk more about the build quality. Looking at the camera, they've done a few changes. The LCD on the back is now slightly larger, along with the fact that the record buttons now move from the awkward side placement to now just right next to the viewfinder, which I still don't find that comfortable. Maybe because I have smaller hands, but I find myself having to like reach over to press it. I don't know. One of these days Sony will get it right, but I guess it is still a much better upgrade than having it on the weird side that the old models used to have. But aside from that, nothing looks too crazy if you're already familiar with the Sony lineup of cameras. However, if you've noticed, there's now a focusing back button which lets you change your focus points. I'll get to that later also, but incredible. I'm so glad that that's now in more of the basic lineup and you don't have to get an A9 to just get that small feature. But now let's get into the first impressions. You go, David, how are you gonna do a first impressions? You just unboxed it. Well, I lied to you. I didn't just unbox it. That footage was from like a week ago, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, and I've had some chance to use the camera now for videos, for photos in different environments, whether it's a long day job or if it's just for fun, taking it out to downtown and getting some fun photos with Annette. And here's the biggest upgrading from the A7R2. The battery size. Look at it compared to the old battery that you could find in all the A7 II series and down, also the same battery that's in the A6000 series. You can visually see that this battery's larger and it packs a larger capacity. Now, it's a bigger battery and you can look at all the ratings that you see, what Sony boasts, what other people say. From my experience, this battery has been a godsend. At the most recent event I shot over 800 photos in about 4.5 hours, and normally if I was shooting on the A7R2 or the A6500, I probably would have had to switch the battery near the end of it. I'd at least be very close to 0%. With the A7 III's battery, I ended up finishing that shoot with 50% battery left. So that's huge to know, because if that means 800 photos, 4 hours, if I was doing a wedding and I'm shooting somewhere around 2,000 photos, I know that I just need 2 batteries at most, which is a super comforting thought. The fact that I don't have to lug around 3, 4, 5 batteries for all my camera, it's just nice knowing I can carry around a few less batteries. Which does kind of suck though, because I have like 10 of the old batteries. Now they're just kind of useless. So that sucks. But the next big notable difference for the A7 III is this back button focusing, this little knob at the back that you can choose focusing points with. This doesn't really change the game, because for me, and some of you might shun me for this, I use autofocus 90% of the time because it just works. The A7, just all the Sony cameras lately since the A7R2 has had incredible phase detect autofocusing. I've ranted about this on end from all my videos, but it just keeps getting better. So like my shots are 90% shot on that, but sometimes there's a crowd of faces and I really need to select a specific face, maybe the subject of the event, the bride and groom, the speaker at an event. I can just go ahead and set the focus point to the top right third of the screen, and because I already have my composition in mind, how I want to shoot this photo, I can just line them up into that focusing spot and shoot. And then maybe the next photo, I'm like, oh, I know he's gonna be on the far left frame. I'll just move the focusing point over there and then compose it how I want it to and shoot. Now, I can guarantee my focusing that way without having to, press a button, scroll around on a wheel, press. The older way was slow, and this makes it more usable. So I probably went from 100% autofocus to maybe like 80% autofocus now that I have this option available. Now the third biggest thing is what we've just talked about, autofocusing. Autofocusing in the Sony lineup has been getting better and better with each iteration of the camera. While the eye autofocus in the A7R2 that I used prior to this camera was phenomenal, it just got even better. You hold down that eye detect and it's just crazy how you can see somebody spin around, you know, their face gets obscured, then they get back in the shot and it automatically picks up that focus again, which makes event shooting, which makes video production just so much more fun and so much easier. You take your mind off of the mundane things like, wow, did I really just ruin that shot because I was shooting at f1.4 and I was like, you know, like this much off and now they're not like sharp in focus, because that really ruins an image and that really ruins videos. And the fact that it's more reliable makes me more confident at jobs and makes me more confident when I'm going out shooting. I have more fun. I take my mind off of all the technicality, because I mean, like, half the videos I make on this channel are about specs and gear, but like that's not really why I got into camera gear. I didn't get into camera gear for the sake of camera gear. I got into it because it allows you to create. And with this limitation being crushed and crushed down, the fact that autofocus is getting so good, face detect, eye detect, it's just liberating. That's the word I was looking for, liberating. And now let's go into the plethora of little changes about this camera that really just makes my life better. Dual SD cards. This is insanely important to me because, like, the off chance, at like a 0.5% chance that a SD card catastrophically fails, which it hasn't happened yet, thank God, but say an SD card fails and I'm at the second third of the wedding, I'm almost done with the reception of a wedding and my SD card fails and I'm just like, what do I do? Right? Like, what do I tell the client? That really could end your career right there. It doesn't happen to many people, but it happens. So when it happens, what am I gonna do? Now, prior to the A7 III being released, the A9 was one of the only options in the Sony lineup, and I wanted to stick with Sony that had the dual SD cards, but I really wasn't ready to just shell out like, you know, like for a $4,000 camera just to get dual SD cards. As much as I'm saying I really need it for jobs for that, you know, professional reliability, I wasn't financially capable of shelling out that much money just for that. But now, at $2,000, not only do you get an insanely good camera, not only do you get faster autofocus, not only is it better than all the older iterations that were originally more expensive than this camera, you also get dual SD cards, which gives you redundancy. You can back up to 2 cards, or if you're traveling, you can just have 2 SD cards popped in. You have double the storage space now without having to worry about swapping SD cards. Another nice feature is 10 frames per second. That's super cool. How often do I use this? Not that much, but in the scenarios where I do want to use this, where I want to capture someone running at me, where I want to capture like a bird flying, right? You don't get that many chances at that. So the fact that you have 10 frames per second, maybe just one more of those photos will look, you know, on point. Maybe one more of those photos will turn out like that photo. And the camera has a lot more of the new features. I haven't really gone into everything yet. I've only had the camera for a week. That's why this isn't a full in-depth review. I'm sure that'll come 6 months or a year from now where I do the whole, like, you know, like 6 months later, 1 year later. What do I think about it then? But like there's other features I want to test out, like hybrid log gamma. Like I want to see what that's like because I really don't know much about it, but you know, I hear it's interesting. I want to give it a shot. So I'll get back to you guys with all that. If you want to support this channel, use the link down below to check out this camera on Amazon. It's a referral link. It doesn't cost you anything more, but if you do end up buying it, I get a kickback from Amazon, which is super neat because then I get to keep making more videos like this and justify buying more gear. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. Comment down below. What do you think about the A7 III? What do you think about the new cameras, lenses coming up from Sony? Does it pique your interest? Actually, what's the next piece of gear you're going to buy? Is it the A7 III? For me personally, because I have the A7 III already, I'm really looking forward to the Sony 24mm 1.4 G Master. That should be announced at Photokina. I'm super stoked. If it is, it's gonna be hard to convince me not to buy it because I've been wanting a 24 1.4 for a long time, so that's gonna be a must-have for me. But yeah, leave it down in the comment section down below. I'd love to talk to you about it. What's the next piece of gear that you really want to pick up? And as always, if you want to keep seeing more of these kind of videos, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and all that good stuff. Well, as always, guys, it was really nice seeing you guys again, and I will see you in the next one.